Vijayji, whenever you wish, you can take over and start the session, please.
All right, thank you. Namaste, everybody. Welcome to today's session of Beam Meditation Global. First, we will meditate, observing our breaths. And after that, we will discuss about today's topic, what is hypocrisy? Slowly come out from your meditation. Namaste, everybody. There is a chapter in Mahabharata from Aranyak Parva, or the forest saga. It is a dialogue between Yudhishthir, the eldest son or the eldest of Pandavas, and Yama, the lord of death, who was disguising as a Yaksha. Yaksha is a supernatural or superhuman entity in the mythology of Hinduism. In this chapter of Yaksha Prashna, or the questions of Yaksha, Yaksha asked 126 questions, and Yudhishthir gives some amazing, enlightening, some orthodox, traditional, some thought-provoking answers to very difficult questions asked by Yama. During the time when the Pandavas were living in the forest in incognito, a deer took away the stick used to make fire from the sage's home in the forest in its antlers. The sage tried to recover it but could not, and he then approached Pandavas to trace the deer by its hoof marks and recover the stick. The Pandavas, all 5 brothers, followed the hoof marks of the deer throughout the day and reached deep in the forest. Yudhishthir, the eldest of the Pandavas, became very tired and he wanted to drink some water before carrying on the chase any further. Sahadev, the youngest of all, volunteered to bring the water. He spotted a lake nearby. The lake was bare of any living beings except a crane. And when Sahadev tried to drink some water from the lake, the crane spoke to him, "O Sahadev, the water of this lake is poisonous. If you drink it without answering my questions, you will die." But Sahadev did not bother and laughed off crane's request. He drank the water from the lake and he died. After a while, Nakul came to search, and he was surprised at seeing the dead Sahadeva. He also decided to drink water and was warned by the crane, and he too died on drinking the water. The same fate happened to Arjuna and Bhim. Now, seeing that all of his four brothers are missing, Yudhishthira went to look out for them. And since he was very thirsty, he also tried to drink the water from the lake, but he decided, when the crane warned him, to answer the questions of the crane. And before asking questions, the crane revealed himself as a Yaksha. Yaksha is a mythological entity or a character in Hinduism. They have some supernatural powers. In fact, he was Yama, the Lord of Death. All the questions asked by the Yaksha were answered by Yudhishthira to the Yaksha's satisfaction. And then Yaksha gave him a boon to bring back alive one of his dead brothers. Yudhishthira wanted Nakula to be made alive. And then surprised, Yaksha asked him, "O king, why did you choose Nakul when you could have chosen Bhim and Arjuna?" Yudhishthira said, "I am alive, and so my mother Kunti has one son, that's me. I wanted my other mother, Madri, also to have a son alive, and Nakul and Sahadev were the sons of Madri." So the Yaksha was very much pleased and gave life back to all the four Pandavas. Now, there are some 126 questions, and we are not going to go through all of them. We will just discuss one question today. It is in the verse 80. Yaksha asked Yudhishthira, "Kascha dambaha prakirtitaha?" Meaning, what is hypocrisy? Now, I would like you all masters to give your views on hypocrisy. What do you think hypocrisy is? You can unmute yourself and just describe or give your views on hypocrisy in, say, few words or few sentences. What is hypocrisy according to ourselves?
Namaste, Vijayji.
Namaste.
Yeah, I believe hypocrisy is when you practice something, like, you believe something, but you actually, when you're doing something different. Like it's a practice what you preach, but you're not doing that. And I don't know, coincidentally or something, just the other week or something, my husband was trying to tell me that I'm a hypocrite. And I was like, why are you saying that? He's like, you're practicing all this meditation and trying to do all these services, helping others. But at home, you're not like that. You're like, you're rude to me. You're showing all your anger to me. So you're a hypocrite. And I was thinking of it so much, like I have to work on myself to be even everywhere. So that's my thoughts on hypocrisy.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree. Hypocrisy is knowing something and then and then you do differently. Whatever you know, you don't practice, but you don't things you do differently. So even though, like, big thing is, even though we know ourselves we are gods, we do not, practice that every day or most of the time. We attach to our mind and body. That is one way of hypocrisy also. And same thing, we do a lot of things. Manasa, vacha, karmana, we are supposed to do the same thing, but most of the time we don't. That's what I think.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, Vijayji, this is Varna.
Okay.
Yeah, we means we question or pinpoint a mistake from others, even though those mistakes are within you. So we're just ignorant of ourselves, and we point out the same mistakes in others.
Okay. Any more thoughts or different thoughts about hypocrisy than Vindhyaji and Balaji and Swanaji?
Namaste, Vijayji.
Namaste.
So I second with what our earlier masters have shared. It is mostly the unlived truths that we have come across, but we do not live to that we come across. So that in a way we are being hypocrite towards what we know, and we are not living that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, what Yudhishthira answered and Yaksha accepted his answer. Yaksha asked him, what is hypocrisy? Yudhishthira said, the setting up of a religious standard is hypocrisy. The setting up of a religious standard is hypocrisy. What does it mean? When you establish any kind of religious standards, it is hypocrisy according to Yudhishthira. Now, when I read this answer, and I thought there must be some printing mistake. There must be something different in original Sanskrit text. But Sanskrit text says the same thing. Dvaja uchrayaha. It means in English, setting up the standard. And before that, Yudhishthira said, Dambha dharmo dvajochrayaha. What is hypocrisy? The setting up of a religious standard. So why it is hypocrisy to set up religious standards? We all know that when Vindhyaji and Rameshji and Balaji and Swanaji mentioned about hypocrisy, that what we know about the truth, and if we do not practice it, our preaching and our practicing is different. And generally we call it hypocrisy. Or like a saying goes in India that elephant has two types of teeth, they say. Now, with a set of teeth, elephant chews everything, and there are two tusks outside his head, made of ivory. So both set of teeth are different. One is just to show other people. The other set is to use to eat food. But here Yudhishthira says that setting up of a religious standard is hypocrisy. And why is that? Because there are no set rules for this spirituality. Spirituality or religion. Now we have actually identified and we have differentiated between spirituality and religion in the modern world. But before, it was the same thing. Whether you call it adhyatma or whether you call it dharmikta, both meant the same thing. And that is spirituality. To look for the ultimate truth. One that is beyond the physical universe or physical being. That is adhyatma or religion or dharmikta. Dharmikta simply means that one that holds the entire existence. So when we decide that something has to be done, and these are the sets of rules to achieve our ultimate goal, or to walk on the spirituality or on the path of religion, that is called hypocrisy. Because spirituality is like open sky. And sky doesn't have any footprints. Sky doesn't have any highways or roads. It's open sky. And everyone's attainment, even though at the end is the same, but the paths, the ways, the manners would be and could be different. Because everyone, every skull is different. Every skull has different skills. Everybody has a different attitude, different way of doing things. And when you set up some standards, that this is religion, this is how it has to be done, this is how one has to pray, this is how one has to walk and behave and talk and wear this kind of clothes. All those kind of standards or these sets of rules, they are not for the religion. They are not for the dharma. And that is why Yudhishthira says, it is the hypocrisy. It is true that when we preach something else and practice something else, we behave in different way and we actually talk in different way. So there would be one set of rules for ourselves and the other set of rules for other people. It is also hypocrisy. That's right. Nothing wrong in there. But this is the ultimate hypocrisy. To bind the wings of people, to actually cut the wings of people, to clamp them and try to make them or walk them on one path. Try to actually make them walk in a similar manner. Everybody has to bow down to pray. Everybody has to fold their hands to pray. Everybody has to stand upright or sit upright to pray. All these kind of rules which are binding the real freedom of every soul. In the name of religion, in the name of spirituality, that is hypocrisy. Now, when we read this kind of statements, just like this one, the answer from Yudhishthir, and the answer was spontaneous. Maybe he thought about the answer, or maybe he actually knew the answer, and Yaksha accepted his answer. That setting up religious standard is hypocrisy. Then we can realize that how deeply Yudhishthir would have thought about dharma, about hypocrisy. Yudhishthir is nicknamed as Dharmaputra or Dharmaraj, the king of dharma. And this is the answer when he explained just in a couple of words that what is hypocrisy. His answer is very thought-provoking. Because we always try, all the dharma gurus, whether they are from Islam or Christianity or Hinduism or Buddhism or Jainism or Sikhism, all the torch bearers or the gurus of all different kind of sects, they have set up, they have fixed some rules to follow. And if you did not follow those rules, if you did not follow their setup, then you are expelled or you are excommunicated or you are not one of them. In the name of spirituality, to set up the standards and set up the set of rules is the biggest hypocrisy. And that is why Buddha only mentioned one sentence. What shall I do? Or what one shall do? He said, Appa Dipo Bhava. Atma Dipo Bhava. Be your own flame. Be your own lamp. Be your own light. Because you are not a moon. You are not a dead planet. But you are the sun that enlightens the world. It enlightens everything. So when someone says that one has to follow this set of rules, one has to follow this kind of path, one has to follow these steps, the ladder, one has to follow a particular discipline or particular manners to realize oneself. At that time, one needs to understand that that person is being a hypocrite because that person doesn't know, he or she doesn't have a clue about spirituality, about dharma, about the ultimate path. So this was from the Yaksha Prashna, verse 80, and there are 126 questions, and this was one of the questions. What is hypocrisy? Yudhishthir said, the setting up of religious standard is hypocrisy. Thank you very much. Now you can unmute yourself and share your wisdom. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Mridulaji, please. You can share.
Hi, Vijayji. I'm just catching up in the end here.
Hi.
And I did hear your definition. It's a beautiful dialogue. I can't believe I'm going to share this, but I will today because it came to the forefront of my mind. So I grew up in rural Minnesota. My parents are Hindu. I grew up knowing a little bit about Hinduism because they had, my mom had the puja room. We had some religious celebration. And then at the same time, because I grew up in an all-Christian community, and we were the only brown-skinned family in this small town of 2,000 people, I grew up going to a church. And, my parents never said what we're preaching, what we are doing is the right way. They never said anything about religion. They did what they were doing, and we just observed. And when I went to church with my friends and went when they got confirmation, they never said, don't go to the church. I did that freely. And when I came to India for medical school, I fell in love with a Muslim man. And I started. So with these, I've tried to learn about each religion. And I found there's truth in all of them. And the reason I'm bringing up the last one about falling in love with the Muslim man, my uncles asked my parents, did you not tell her not to love a Muslim man? So my parents said, we didn't tell her anything. We just let her find her own path. So I don't know why I thought of this, but that's why I believe every path is a path. We cannot say this path is the right path. Our soul tells us the path. So I know some people have feelings that, Gita is the path, or the Bible is the path, or Quran's the path. To me, all are paths, And how can I choose all the paths? Well, I can choose bits and pieces. I can choose my own way. And I can choose my own path to the divine. So I think, and sometimes when I say that this path is correct, the people of the other paths think that I'm being, kind of favoring something else, and I'm not being genuine, to the faith that I was born with, that I'm being contradictory. But who are we to say which path leads us where? We don't know enough. Do we? Vijayji, we don't know. So we choose a path that comes close to our heart. And eventually we're all not here forever. We're going to find out the truth. So I just wanted to share that, Vijayji. I don't know why it just came to my mind today.
So thank you very much, Padulaji. You use a couple of words there that one has to choose his or her own path. Now, there's some difference between choosing and being. When we choose a path, it becomes tainted because we always choose our paths according to our thoughts, according to our belief, or according to whatever we have in our subconscious mind. And I would say rather than choosing the path, the answer would be your own path. It's not choosing, but it's being a path. And when we choose path, it simply means that we are following on someone's footprints. In spirituality, sorry.
No, when I say choose your own path, I meant whatever your heart tells us, not what outside. Maybe I chose the wrong word or misunderstood. Our soul tells us the path. We can read all this stuff, but choosing not because someone says so, after reading, after doing, I believe our soul tells us, what if you're calling that being, that is the choice that is. I'm not saying the choice from the outer world. I'm saying the choice from our soul. Yeah. So, but you're correct. People may misinterpret that. So I'm glad you clarified. I didn't choose the religion by reading the books. I chose what my heart and my soul was telling me. My soul being was telling me. So what I believe may be different from someone who's reading the Bible or someone who's reading the Gita may think that I'm not faithful, but I am faithful to what my own soul is telling me, and you're calling that a being. So other people may think, gosh, her parents are Hindu. How come she doesn't believe in the Gita, the book? I read the book. My father actually gifted me the book. I know what it says, but my soul is giving me its own direction. I read the Bible too. I told Ram too, I took classes for 2 years. I read the Quran because I fell in love with the Muslim man. And I read I went to other things. So I don't mean choice in choosing how you're saying. So I'm glad you clarified. I meant choice in what my soul is telling me to choose.
Yes.
And what you're saying as a being. So I wanted to I'm glad you clarified. I didn't know it came across that way.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Vijayji. It was, this question that seemed to be quite difficult one. The answer was quite simple. So it was such a beautiful, thought-provoking answer that was shared today, and yeah, we can all think over it, digest it, and then remind ourselves about such simple answer within which hides a greater wisdom. So thanks a lot, Vijayji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vijayji. This is Swarna. Beautiful answer and beautiful sharing, Vijayji. Yeah, that's what Apodipo Bhava, it's in Yashodhara, book of Yashodhara. I read that book and she chose her own path. Even though she took the teachings of Buddha, being a Buddha's wife, she had her own path. She chose listen to everybody's teachings and follow your own path. That's what she taught in that book, Apodipo Bhava. You be light to your own self. And she taught everybody has to choose their own path. And that's what Patriji sir always says, be your master. Nobody is a student and nobody is a master. Everybody are master to their own self. So that shows that give a freedom to everyone, not to cling on somebody's teaching. Take everybody's teaching, but do what your heart says. So thank you very much. Great wisdom. I really never thought about Yudhishthira's answer side. So thank you so much, Vijay. You always come up with a great insight and great wisdom. Thank you, thank you, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ramesh, if you want to conclude, then.
Yeah, I see Vindhyaji wants to share. Yes.
And I just wanted to say thank you, Vijayji. I had heard of Yaksha Krishna, but like you said, there's so many. Maybe I heard only few, but this one was, and at least I can't remember the answer to. What a profound answer that we were all thinking, and then you brought this answer out. It made me think how deep Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira's wisdom was. And actually, when you were mentioning his answer, and my mind was going, thinking, what could it mean? That standardizing the religion. And what thought came to me was the hypocrisy was that there's only one truth, right? Whether it is Apodhipo Bhava or you are God, whatever, there's only one truth. So what do you standardize when everything is just one, is what I was thinking. But you explained beautifully about, giving the freedom to everyone and think. So thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Vijayji. So if you allow, then we shall end the session.
Okay, yeah. Thanks. Thank you very much, everybody. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you, Masters, for joining and making this very interactive wisdom sharing session. So we end this Monday evening session and we connect back with our regular 6 a.m. meditation session tomorrow morning, Germany time, on the same Zoom link. Till then, I wish you all a wonderful time. Namaste.
Namaste.